This is the Initiates Podcast. Here, we create space to explore the path of initiation as we reawaken the forgotten wisdom that resides within us all. I am your host and guide, Natalie Grace. Join me every Thursday for an enlightening exploration of contemporary spirituality. It's my honour to journey with you. Hello, my friends. Thanks for joining me today. This week has been a big energy week, and I've been reflecting on the energy of portals, of transformational portals. It's something that I've been working with closely all year, really, leaning into, working with, initiating, trying to create these portals for myself in my own world as well. And it just so happens that this week we experienced the Lionsgate portal on the 8th of the 8th for this year. And it's something that I wanted to talk about in regards to these like really hyped up energetic portal events that we get flooded in our Instagram feeds about for like 3 or 4 days, and the energy is so intense and everyone's all about it, and then it just stops. And I received a transmission from the Akashic Records, some really important guidance a couple of years ago on one of these portal days, a very important portal day because it was one that only happens once. It was the 2 portal, the 22nd of February 2022. And this portal day was really unique because it's not something that happens every year in that magnitude. And there was so much hype around that day. And I did a live stream that day for my tarot audience, and I got a really interesting message to share from the guardians of the records, from my spirit guides, that they wanted me to share with the collective. And it was a message that I'm going to share again with you in today's episode about, firstly, the importance of these transformational energy portals, but also how we can anchor in that energy any day of the year, that the power is within us. So it's a really cool message. It's a very empowering message. It's a very activating message. So I'm really excited to share that with you. And it's been a while since that was shared initially, so you might have heard it the first time round. It will be a great reminder going through this energetic portal of the Lionsgate. The Lionsgate portal is not just a single day, it is a window of time that has to do with the fixed star Sirius and its relationship with the sun and where it sits in our sky. So this is a portal that lasts a number of days. So we're still in it right now, at least if you're listening when or quite soon after this episode comes out. But even if you're not, this is information that will apply to next year and the years after, but also any other kind of numerical energy portal days that you might see talked about or be wanting to work with in the future. So let's journey through the Lionsgate portal. So I've made some assumptions here that you know what I'm talking about if you're listening to this podcast, or at least you've seen this Lionsgate portal be talked about online, if you aren't all about it already. If you haven't, it's okay. I'm going to explain a little bit about what the Lionsgate portal is, because on the one hand, it's got some really old energetic lineage, but on the other hand, the way we kind of talk about it in the New Age mainstream now and the spiritual community now online is more of a recent sort of phenomenon or concept. So I'm going to be talking about all aspects and also how I work with this energy, because the 8 is a really powerful symbol in my realm at the moment, and I think it will always be now that I've really started to understand the energy of this symbol more so than the number. So I have my own take on it, but let's talk about the different layers of meaning around what is the Lionsgate portal. So first of all, the Lionsgate portal corresponds to the time when the fixed star Sirius is visible after a period of it being hidden. And there's a really strong link between the sun and Sirius. So we have our sun in our solar system, in our sky, that we revolve around, that gives us life. It's the source of our life force, the beautiful life-giving sun. And Sirius in many ways is the sun of our sun. I'm reading a description here on astrology.com about this, just so I had, a more textbook definition of what this is, what this relationship entails. And it's described as a binary relationship that they are getting closer together and further apart because of gravity. And so the Lionsgate portal is a time when the star Sirius gets closer to the Earth. And Sirius is a really interesting star because it is, I think it's described as the dog star, but in my channeled understanding of one part of Sirius and its wisdom is that it is connected to cats and big cats. So Leo the lion, we're in tropical Leo season when this gate is open, and there's a really strong connection between Sirius and the lion energy, the lion wisdom, the lion medicine. So we get to embody this medicine more deeply when we're closer, when Earth is closer to the star Sirius. And it's like a supercharged solar activation because our sun's sun is in close proximity with it, and therefore we're in closer proximity with its own life-giving force, which is really, that might not translate scientifically, but from a spiritual perspective, it's very powerful. And so from an astrological perspective, I mentioned in the intro that the Lionsgate portal is not just a single day. It's a period of time. And according to astrology.com, the Lionsgate portal opens officially when the sun arrives at 15 degrees of Leo. And so 8-8 is kind of like a peak in energy in this period of portal opening and closing. It says that this year the portal is opened until around August 13. And this is when there's another really cool aspect happening astrologically, which is when the sun and Venus meet in conjunction. And obviously there's also a connection between the sun and the sign of Leo. We are in Leo season. We're accessing this energy of this medicine of the lion, and the ruler, the natural ruler of Leo is the sun, our sun. So it's super activating from a solar perspective right now. There's a lot of illumination taking place. There is a lot of activation. If we think about the way that the sun activates seeds in the soil, the sun, even my chickens, I observe this throughout the winter period when they stop laying, they go into a time of sacred pause where they allow their bodies to rest and rejuvenate before egg laying season starts again. And when the sun starts appearing for longer periods in the sky, after the solstice, the winter solstice, and we start getting longer days, there's a particular magical sacred point where they each start laying again. And it speaks to this vitality, this life-giving force that we harness as earthly creatures. So it's a really potent time for, like I said, illumination, because the sun lights things up for us, but also a powerful time to tap into more life force, more growth, really important growth for our year's evolution, which is really fun and exciting and interesting. But it can also be that the illumination lights stuff up in our healing journey that we need to work on in order to create more growth. There's a really strong Egypt connection with the Lionsgate portal. So in ancient Egypt, it is written that the time when Sirius becomes visible in the sky coincides with the flooding of the Nile. So a very fertile time in that culture where lots of growth is activated. So I'm just going to pause here for a moment and talk about why I'm recording a whole episode devoted to the Lion's Gate after the Lion's Gate has occurred. And I think the most important reason is because of integration. We all get really swept up in the energy, in the hype, in all the Instagram posts and all these like directions for how we should be manifesting during this period, because it's such an amazing manifestation portal. And for me, there's so many layers of meaning to this particular time. And to be honest, this is the first time in my journey that I've actually properly connected with this energy from a place of contemplation, a place of inner understanding and inner curiosity, rather than just receiving everyone else's projections about what this time is for. And so this comes from a place of my own exploration, my own intuition. And I thought I'd share this after the fact, because it's when the hype is finished and we can actually sit with the energy that we're currently transiting through, but like the peak of has just passed us, and we get to understand more about the purpose of these energetic portals and the true definition or multiple layers of meaning, rather than just kind of the surface level stuff that we get shown on Instagram and TikTok. That people, honestly, so much of the content that we're exposed to there, people are doing for clicks, for views, for validation. It might not necessarily be a ritual practice that they'd be that involved with if there wasn't content to be made about it. And I'm a content creator, so I'm saying this from my own experience here, that our spiritual practice and what we make content about aren't always aligned. And this year, before I was even thinking about the Lionsgate portal, with the dawning of Leo season, I was working very intensely with the energy of the lion, the energy of the goddess, the energy of the sun, and the energy of transformation, and specifically the symbol of the 8. And it just so happens that that's led me to the point where now I get to have a much better understanding of what this time is for. And lots of different cultures use this energy and understand this energy in a very deep way. So part of this integration that I'm wanting to kind of activate within us all is understanding the different uses for this Lionsgate energy, that it's not just about 8-8. In so many cultures, we see lions as guardians at gates. That's a lion's gate. If you actually look up Lion's Gate on Google, you're going to find images of literal lion gates, where these are temples or stone structures all around the world where you have lions as guardians of the gate. And it's really interesting because when you start looking into these different cultural references and like meanings of the lion, they have their own meanings, but there's common threads here to do with the sun, to do with the energy of protection, and to do with gates of transformation, these doorways, these entrance points, this energetic invitation to come inside into the inner space, to uncover something, to illuminate something, to come into the darker space and allow the sun to come in and show you something, reveal something. So it's a very magical, mystical time. But what I'm encouraging us to do is to actually work with the energy beyond the surface layer, beyond the superficial narratives that get pumped out to us through social media. So let's talk about these literal lion's gates that are evident all around the world. We see them at Buddhist temples. We see lions even in people's houses of that. I'm in Australia and we have like really big ethnic diversity here, and it's not uncommon in the areas where I grew up, where there are lots of, say, Chinese immigrants and Buddhist people, for instance. You'll see lions, quite large lion structures or sculptures, statues at the entrance points of their houses, which is really cool and powerful. And so these are protective, strong guardians anchoring this energy of space holding, I want to say, these guardians are holding the space of the inner world. Doing my own little research into this topic, I've found amazing images of an ancient lion's gate in Sri Lanka. It's called Sigiria, I think. I probably pronounced that wrong. It's an ancient megalithic site in Sri Lanka, and there's not much left remaining of this lion, but its paws, huge paws, can be found at the very entrance gate into this site, this amazing temple, I want to say, of transformation. You might also come across the Lion's Gate in Mycenae in Greece. It's very old, and it's a stone gateway with two lions at the top guarding, and these are lionesses guarding this gateway, this sacred gateway. In the area of modern-day Turkey, there's another incredible ancient stone lion's gate where a lion each sits on either side of this gateway as protectors, as guardians of sacred transformation. So it's really common across cultures, even to this point now, to see lions at gates. If we look to ancient Egypt, there was an earth god that was a lion called Aker, and it was believed that he guarded the gates of dawn from which the sun rose each morning. They saw this earth god as a guard of the gate to the yonder side or the other realm, and it's believed that Aker is guarding the sun god Ra. It's one of Ra's protectors. And there's deep narratives around the cycles of and the journeys of birth and rebirth. These are deeply spiritual narratives that exist in lots of cultures, and sunrise and sunset were symbols of this journey in ancient Egypt. So there's a lot of power in this lion's gate, in the guardian of the gateway, because when we see a gateway, we see a doorway, we see an arch. This is a symbol of moving from one space to the next. This is a symbol of transformation, the guardians of transformation. And transformation is a portal. So when you see a doorway as a symbol, you can see this as a portal. I talk about this a lot when I'm teaching tarot and also doing my tarot live streams on my Instagram. They're such powerful symbols. And the lion holds some really deep significance in the tarot as well. This is a symbol that I'm working with quite closely at the moment, especially with Leo season. I was really called to the Strength card, the card that represents the sign of Leo. It holds an astrological correspondence and is also a card of the sun. So this card is very powerful because it shows a maiden taming the beast of the jungle, the lion. There was a keyword that came through when I did my recent Leo season broadcast. So each sun season, when a new sun season begins, I'll do a monthly live stream on my tarot Instagram account. That's Crystal Aura Tarot. And I will kind of channel energies. It's like an energetic forecast for the month through the tarot cards, but I'll also get lots of like channel drops as well around areas, energetic areas we should be focusing on to help us like get to that next layer of growth and get the lessons of the season. And this particular season, Leo season, there was a deep inner strength to do with will and to do with devotion that came through. And so these are very important parts of the journey of initiation, the journey of transformation. We can call it manifestation, but I don't even like that word anymore because for me, it's much deeper than that. It's manifestation is just one aspect of evolution, of transformation, of moving through aspects of possibility and calling in the parts of those, if we want to call them timelines, aligning with the timeline that is the most desirable for us and our highest good. So while people talk about this as a great time for manifestation, for me, it's much deeper. And I think for many cultures who worked with this energy portal of the Lion's Gate, especially the Egyptians, it was much more about a longer term, deeper spiritual evolution. And so in the Strength card of the tarot, it's this relationship between the lion and the maiden, where the maiden is actually resonant with the frequency of the lion. And that's why the lion submits. That's why the lion surrenders. That's why the lion trusts her. And she's able to be gentle with him like a mother. It's the embodiment of that resonance is the embodiment of the will of the spirit. The maiden wanted to connect with the lion and embody the energy of the lion. And rather than being a ferocious lion, the maiden leans into what is the actual energy of the lion? What's the vibration of the lion? How can and what's the gentle side of the lion? Because that's the side of the lion that I want to relate to. I want to receive the lion's softness and love, because that's another really important lesson of the lion. If we think about the Wizard of Oz, the lion was connected to the courage of the heart. The lion wasn't resonating with the big, showy ferociousness. The lion was actually like acknowledging his fears, and he wished that he could be the big brave lion, the king of the jungle. He actually, we call him the cowardly lion. But what that's showing is that even the lion has aspects of itself that is soft and that experiences fear. And what makes the lion so strong is that the medicine of the lion is being so brave that you face your fears. That was the message of the lion in that film, in that story, and in our lives, in the tarot as well. The maiden wants to embody the energy of the lion because the lion has this deep courage and veracity. That was the key word that came through. Veracity means the like real strength of truth. Of the deepest truth. So it takes a lot of strength to speak one's truth, to live one's truth. And that is the medicine of the lion, to face the fear of whatever it is that makes the lion scared and do it anyway. The courage of moving through the fear, because that is the medicine of the transformation, of the portal. The medicine of the portal is actually the pushing through fear. When we go through these transformational portals, these initiations, we are being invited to push through our fear and get through the other side so that we can realize our evolution, because through that we evolve. And this is the reason why we see the lions as the guardians of these gateways, these temple gateways, these temple entrances over and over again. It's because the lion is there inviting you to embody its spirit, its will, its veracity, its strength, its courage, because these doorways of these megaliths, of these temples, are doorways of initiation. And there is no way through an initiation without facing one's fear, without seeking the deepest well of courage within you. There's no way around it. And so the lions are there as guardians. We're with you. We're going to walk through this doorway with you. And they're also there to invite you into sharing their spirit, to make that journey the teeniest bit easier, and to provide that archetypal guide for how you can transit through this transcendent gateway of initiation. So there's so many layers of wisdom here, and I haven't even gone on to the number 8 yet. It's interesting. This is another thing that frustrates me about the whole overhyped Lionsgate online, that often it's the influencers who lecturing us about how the calendar isn't real. They get really obsessed with the 8 8s and the 2 2s and all the rest of that. For me, I work with numerology, but it's not so much what the number represents, but the actual shape of this number that I've been really called to of late. So the number 8 is this never-ending line. It is so energetic. It is the symbol of infinity, this figure 8. It is the symbol of, for me, the quantum field, quantum reality. Some people might see that differently, but this is kind of like a 2D representation of that for me, where we have a full representation of polarity within the 8. We have the ebbs and flows of what it is to be, a human, that nothing's ever stagnant. Everything on earth is always changing and evolving, and it has cycles, and these cycles go up and down. These cycles have expansion and contraction. So this is represented. So we have this polarity and duality. We have expansion and contraction. We have the intersecting point in the center, which for me is the 0 point field, the field of all possibility and potential, the intersection of energy where anything can happen, anything can be created. That is this point of creation. And it's also like a pulse, almost like energy on this shape, on this track, just keeps moving. It's constantly moving, and it's beautiful. And as a representation of the quantum, that's been a huge key I've been unlocking in the tarot, because that symbol appears within the artwork of 2 cards very prominently, the Magician and the Strength card. And there's a real kind of like between those 2 cards, it's like when you can experience them both in the highest aspects, the Magician is kind of like a mastery of the mental realm, of understanding what manifestation is and what creation is and what it is to be a human and create. But then actually to be brave enough to do that, and to do that from the heart, to actually desire something from the heart and feel fulfilled through that desire and the creation, its passion, its flow, it's deeply emotive. And it also requires coherence. So it's like the higher level of the Magician, the Strength card for me, because it's the heart and mind coherence. That's truly the quantum field, which is amazing. So I might leave that there, because I'm really planning on creating a whole workshop on the quantum key of the tarot, because I just find it so fascinating, and it's really amazing. And there's a whole other aspect with the Lion and the Strength card that is linked to Lion's Gate, which is this energy of the goddess. This kind of gets activated through the Venus retrograde cycle, Venus representing this beautiful goddess energy. And this is something that happens at the kind of culmination of the Lion's Gate portal, from what I've read, happens on or around the time that Venus conjuncts the Sun, the ruler of Leo, and our Sun, the connection to the Sirius star of the Lion's Gate. So Venus actually meets our Sun, it comes conjunct. They call it a cazimi when there's a exact conjunction with the Sun. And this is an activation, an illumination of the goddess, and this is the veracity of the goddess. This is the deep strength of the goddess, the power of the goddess in her ability to not just create, and not rule, but to lead. It's this incredible leadership. So there's so many layers that I've been working with myself with this Lion's Gate portal. I hope that helps you understand a bit more of like the multi-leveled layer of meaning, especially if you've felt disconnected from this time because of all the kind of superficial hype that you get exposed to, that kind of just like comes on like a huge wave, and then it crashes, and then that's it. And there's no talk of it again until next year. You can keep working with this energy, and that's what the amazing lesson of the message from the Akashic Records, from that 2's portal that happened last year, the teaching from that transmission is all about the fact that we can create these portals at any time. So I'm going to share that message with you now. So as I mentioned, this was a message I received in response to me going into the Akashic Records just before the 22nd of the 2nd, 2022, a huge portal day, it was a day that people were really looking forward to in the kind of online spiritual community, myself included. It seemed quite magical. And I wanted to know what to share for this day. I was asking what we need to know in order for us to manifest what we want on this day, and if there was any message that wanted to be shared about the nature of this portal. So here's what came through, and I invite you to think about this and how it applies to other portal days in the calendar. "22222 is a special day, described as once in a lifetime. It's generated such optimism, such inspiration, such wonder in our mysteries and our potential for what can manifest. Yes, the day contains many twos, a powerful symbolic number. But isn't every day once in a lifetime? Isn't each and every moment once in a lifetime? We ask you to ponder this. The power of people gathering en masse to explore the meaning of this day generates a potent energy, powerful enough to shift reality. Why should this energy only be realized today? What is stopping us from living in this energy in each and every moment? Could you imagine what we could create if each day was met with this once-in-a-lifetime energy? The Masters ask us that we remember tomorrow what we are capable of. Every day we are here, alive, conscious, breathing. We have the power to create portals of transcendence any day of the week. All we have to do is decide it is so and make plans to come together to share energy and ideas with wonder and excitement and optimism. In these moments, we create collective joy. We open our hearts to love. It is truly beautiful to be here today to share in this energy of creation with you. Go forth, it is time to build." So that message talked about the real potent energy of everyone coming together with excitement and belief and wonder around this day, and that we can do that in communion with each other any day of the week, any moment of the day. We can also do that by ourselves. We can work with these portals alone, knowing that we're still within this collective field where we're each working on our own tracks, but contributing to a much larger experience of evolution, of transformation, of transcendence for the collective. It was a really important message to tell everyone, see this energy you're feeling, this excitement, this joy, this like wonder, this joy in collaborating, because there were so many events happening on that day where people were doing activations and healings and meditations, really cool stuff. The invitation was there to say, why do you wait for the calendar to tell you when to do this? Go and do it whenever you want. Go and do it as often as you can. And it doesn't have to be these like huge global events. It doesn't have to be some kind of like online healing workshop. It can be simply gathering with your friends. This can be online or in real life, however you connect with people in your like spiritual world. Having conversations. This portal has led me to having an amazing conversation that I'm going to be having live on Instagram with my dear friend Martika May of 12th House Art. We talk about this stuff all the time, but we haven't really done it publicly, and I'm so excited because why not share these conversations about the meaning of this energy and the way that we receive it with other people, because it might trigger something within them, a new activation within them, but also them to do that with other people. It's truly beautiful. So if you are listening to this when this episode comes out, which is the 10th of August or 11th if you're in Australia, you will be able to catch Martika and I live in conversation on Instagram in the coming days for solar activation of the goddess. So this is a discussion and exploration of Venus retrograde in Leo, the goddess wisdom that comes with that we are receiving right now through this activation, through this illumination, and symbols of initiation, similar to what I mentioned today about the symbol of the 8, the symbol of the lion, the symbol of the gate. This conversation will be happening on my account, Crystal Aura Tarot, on Sunday, the 13th of August at 6 p.m. PST if you're in America, or Monday, the 14th of August at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I will be doing a live stream with Sukhmani of Mystical Moon Journal. Sukhmani is an Ayurvedic astrologer, and we're going to be coming together to talk about how we can awaken our heart space with astrology, with herbalism, with tarot, and with flower essences. This is going to be a really cool chat, and it is happening on the 16th of August at 8 p.m. PST, which will be 1 p.m. on the 17th of August, Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'll also be doing another live stream the following week, my monthly Quantum Tarot forecast for Virgo season. These are really fun live events that are free that I have on Instagram, where I join with my community there. We tune into the energies of the upcoming sun season, and I pull 4 cards for the collective to help us navigate in all of our energetic bodies, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. It's always really insightful. It is always a beautiful, beautiful vibe, and I've been weaving more of my medicine into these sessions with ceremony, with sound medicine, vibrational medicine. I usually do talk about my flower remedies that I make as well in these sessions, and do some show and tell. So if this sounds interesting, if any of these events sound interesting to you, I'd love to see you there. Check the show notes. I'll have the links to these events in the show notes for this episode, or head on over to either the Initiates podcast or Crystal Aura Tarot on Instagram, and you'll be able to see these events coming up and get reminders. Even if you're not wanting to attend, that's totally fine. You can still take this message away that you are a powerful creator and that you don't need to wait for the calendar to tell you when the energy is right for you to manifest, for you to dream, for you to create, and for you to transform. You are an initiate, and the initiation process can be facilitated by outside sources, but even when you're going through a very organized ritual of initiation, the initiation can't take place unless it takes place within you. You are ultimately the initiator. So lean into that beautiful spirit of the 8, the symbol of the 8, the spirit of the lion, the medicine of the lion, having the courage to break through barriers of fear in order to facilitate your own evolution, your own transcendence. It's such powerful energy. And just because these kind of astrological or astronomical alignments might end around the 13th of August, it doesn't mean that you can't take the lessons of this time into your future, and they are anchored in to your blueprint of once you've activated them, and you can return to them at any time to work with them again. It doesn't need to be in the Lionsgate portal. If you have enjoyed hearing me talk about tarot symbolism, I also offer one-on-one tarot training. This is a beautiful sacred container initiating you into the foundational systems of quantum tarot. If you feel called into this container, then check out my website, crystalauratarot.com, or get in touch via email or send me a message on Instagram and let me know at Crystal Aura Tarot, and I'd be really happy to chat with you. I'm also running an online group course that will be happening soon, which is called Foundations of Quantum Tarot. So if you'd like to join that or work with me one-on-one, check the show notes. There'll be a link where you can register your interest just with your email address, and I'll notify you as soon as the course launches. So I hope this message serves you well. I hope that you've been able to take some pressure off yourself by either having to do these portals a certain way and feeling bad about it if you miss them or you're too busy. I've been so busy. I didn't do anything on 8/8. I often would run some kind of live stream just to kind of hang out with people. Well, it's this like shared energy day, these important times for the collective field. But I was too busy, and I'm not going to feel guilty about that. I'm not going to feel guilty that I did it wrong. I'm going to work with this energy exactly how I want to work with it, because it's here to teach me something, and I'm here to receive the lesson and figure out what that is. And you only get a surface layer if you're only willing to receive the projections. So yeah, thank you for journeying with me. Thank you for listening. And until next week, so much peace and so much love. And I wish you a beautiful evolution.